transporting materials to create weapons. As the events of September 11th have shown us, almost anything can be turned into a destructive weapon. Because the materials can be easily obtained, explosive devices are the most commonly used weapon. Both the first World Trade Center bombing and the Oklahoma City bombing were carried out using basic materials such as diesel fuel and ammonium nitrate, or fertilizer. Since this pattern is likely to be repeated, it is important for peace officers to familiarize themselves with the basic ingredients of homemade explosives and become suspicious when these ingredients are being transported or housed covertly. In this scenario, an officer has pulled over what appears to be a gardening truck for a common traffic violation. Because this officer has a basic understanding of explosives, he is able to recognize the potential threat.
Terrorist organizations use different types of weapons. One of the more popular ones is a weapon of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction are comprised of materials that are easily obtainable. For example, the device used in the Oklahoma City bombing is comprised of ammonium nitrate and diesel fuel. So be aware of this. While you're out conducting your patrol duties, you may come in contact with people or groups that are transporting these items. And remember, these items are not illegal to possess in themselves. So keep in mind the totality of the circumstances. Report any suspicious activity back to me, your TLO, for further follow-up.
How we doing?
Hi, hello.
Good. The reason I pulled you over, you just ran that red light back at the intersection. Can I see your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance, please?
Well, my brother don't speak English good.
I'm sorry for mistake, officer.
Okay. Driver's license?
Driver.
You have the registration to the vehicle?
Well, yeah.
Who owns the vehicle?
No. Cousin? My cousin.
Your cousin?
Your cousin.
Cousin owns the vehicle? Okay, I noticed that your international driver's license expired. Do you have another license from your country, California driver's license with you? Anything?
No.
No?
Sorry, no.
No.
Okay, do we have our passports with us?
Passport?
Please.
You work in this area?
We lost.
Freeway.
Okay. Knows the equipment back here.
Garden work.
Garden.
You don't mind if I take a look, do you?
No. Please. Please.
Okay, sit tight. Hold on, okay? Okay. I'm gonna go check some things out, okay? Like I said, I noticed that your driver's license expired. I'm gonna go run some checks right quick. I just need you to sit right here, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Sit tight, okay?
Okay.
All right, stand. River City D11, could you go ahead and start me a tow truck and another officer for the impound, please?
Unit D11, 10-4, tow en route.
10-4.
What have you got?
Hey, how you doing? Just pulled a couple guys. They ran the red back there, blew the intersection. International driver's license, expired. Registration of the vehicle is not their vehicle. They say they're gardeners. Dress really well. Looked at all the equipment back there, brand new equipment, brand new gardening equipment. Got several bags of ammonium nitrate. Look, they got a couple cans of gas back there, gas containers. Smells like diesel. So
These are their passports?
yeah, take a look at them.
You know, these are from 2 different countries. This one's got a page missing. Maybe we need to talk to these guys.
Well, I got a tow truck started already because I'm going to go ahead and take the vehicle no matter what because they're not licensed. So we'll go ahead and pull them out, search and everything else, and go from there.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple problems. The driver's license expired, so what I'm going to do is impound this vehicle, okay?
Officer, sorry, my cousin car. I'm so
I
sorry.
understand it's your cousin's car, but you don't have a driver's license. So I'm going to have to take the vehicle, okay?
I'm sorry, sir.
All right, so what I need you to do is I need you to step outside the vehicle, okay? Okay, what's the deal with the maps? The maps in the car.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
You don't know who maps these are?
No.
Okay. All right. These maps, a lot of major points of interest. Airports, amusement parks, major theaters. We got diesel fuel, at least 40 bags of ammonium nitrate inside the vehicle.
Okay, so we've got most of the components that we need to make explosives. We've got an altered passport. We've got 2 guys that say they're gardeners and don't look like they're gardeners, and we've got maps with possible targets on them. We got a couple of really good FIs on the guys. Let's see if we can call Taylor.
Let's contact them. River City, D11. Could you go ahead and roll Detective Tomasi to my location, please?
Let's review the key learning points of this scenario.
You work in this area?
We lost.
Freeway.
Knows the equipment back there.
Garden work.
You don't mind if I take a look, do you?
No, please.
Sit tight. Hold on, okay?
It is important that you're able to recognize common items that can be used to construct an explosive weapon of mass destruction, such as diesel fuel and ammonium nitrate. Other types of weapons of mass destruction include biological agents, nuclear and radiological materials, incendiaries, chemical agents, as well as explosives. There are many methods of obtaining materials to make weapons of mass destruction, some of which may occur within your jurisdiction. These methods include theft from either commercial or military storage facilities, theft while materials are in transport, or purchase of materials from the black market.
Obviously, throughout the world in the United States, the weapon of choice is explosives. It's the easiest to get a hold of. They're very common. You can make them, with basically a hardware store equipment. We're going to talk, and you're going to see ANFO, which is nothing more than ammonium nitrate, which is a fertilizer, basically. You can buy it at any garden supply store. And fuel oil, which is diesel fuel. It's 94% ammonium nitrate, 6% diesel fuel mixed together with an explosive charge, and there you have the Oklahoma bombing, just a small moving van full of fertilizer. That was a small van. So what we're going to see here most likely is those types of explosives being used. They're easy to attain.
If you could explode a van full of fertilizer with diesel fuel, you can get a van anywhere, you get fertilizer anywhere, and you get diesel fuel anywhere. That's what's more simple than that. You can't rob a bank that simply. You rob a bank, you have to have guns and threats and a real plan. But you can use a credit card and go out and buy everything you need to do to explode an entire neighborhood.
These maps, a lot of major points of interest. Airports, amusement parks, major theaters. We got diesel fuel, at least 40 bags of ammonium nitrate inside the vehicle.
Okay, so we've got most of the components that we need to make explosives. We've got an altered passport. We've got two guys that say they're gardeners and don't look like they're gardeners, and we've got maps with possible targets on them. We've got a couple of really good FIs on the guys. Let's see if we can curtail out.
Remember, coming across individuals who possess materials to construct weapons of mass destruction should always be treated as suspicious activity. Always document this activity and report it to your TLO.
On this stop, where you're seeing, two people, with a multiple of signs and symbols in the car. Example, it's a late model pickup truck. They say they're gardeners. They've got new gardening equipment. Their passports and identification seem a little bit strange. You now have learned that ammonium nitrate and diesel fuel creates quote the Oklahoma bombing, or it could be anywhere. First World Trade Center bombing. That should be a first symbol to the line officer. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. There wouldn't be a reason to have these kinds of chemicals. It just doesn't fit.
What you may see is an international driver's license from a European country and a passport from one of our target countries, whether it's from the Middle East, the Philippines, or adjoining countries. That's something that may probe you to do a little bit further investigation, get as much information as you can. Look through the passport, whether you're trained or not in identifying a false passport. Look and see for the obvious pages torn out, to try to throw off agencies or the authorities on what countries they've been to prior to coming to the United States. Many times they'll obtain an international driver's license for a European country to kind of throw off authorities on where they're from or where they've been or where they're en route to. So those are just some key points to focus in on when you're out there doing your job.
The officer should question the person about the item that he feels is suspicious and watch the reaction of the person. It's very important to these people to get these components together in a timely fashion, especially if they're planning an event in a short time. Concentrating on that item may prove to be the breaking point in that questioning period.
Guns and conventional explosives have so far remained the weapons of choice for most terrorists. Such weapons can cause many casualties and are relatively easy to acquire and use. But some terrorist groups now show interest in acquiring the capability to use chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear materials, otherwise known as CBRN. It is difficult to predict the likelihood of a CBRN attack, but most experts agree that today's terrorists are seeking the ability to use such agents in order to cause mass casualties. On September 11th, terrorists redefined the term weapon of mass destruction. Up to that point, that term generally referred to chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear agents. September 11th increased the uncertainties regarding the threat of chemical or biological attacks. Terrorists were willing to commit suicide in these attacks, showing no concern for their own personal safety, which has long been considered one of the barriers to using chemical or biological agents. And most recently, the threat of anthrax has gone from a series of hoaxes to actual cases under investigation by the FBI. Still, these chemical and biological weapons confront terrorist groups with significant technical challenges. While lethal chemicals are easy to come by, getting large quantities and weaponizing them for mass casualties is difficult. Biological agents can more easily be acquired in nature or from medical supply houses, but important aspects of handling and dispersion are daunting. The 1995 release of a chemical agent in a Tokyo subway demonstrated the difficulties that terrorists face in attempting to use chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear weapons to produce mass casualties. The terrorist group responsible for this attack used scores of highly skilled technicians and spent tens of millions of dollars developing a chemical attack that killed fewer people than conventional explosives could have. That same terrorist group failed totally in a separate attempt to launch an anthrax attack in Tokyo. To date, only nation-states have demonstrated the capacity to build radiological and nuclear weapons.
I think if it's going to happen, it will probably happen with locally available materials. A chlorine gas tank, that any high school with a pool has a huge chlorine tank, that if it gets vapor in the air, you're going to hurt a lot of people. I think that's what they need to be aware of is the things on their beat that are going to hurt them. Chemical tanks. We have a nuclear reactor in the county. We have all sorts of different manufacturing capabilities. Any manufacturing plant, a chrome plating plant's got cyanide. Those are the kind of things that are going to be more dangerous than a terrorist bringing in a nuclear weapon. I mean, it's possible, yes. I don't know how likely it is, but I think it's going to be more of a what's available on hand for these guys to use, and they're going to use that kind of situation.
Terrorists tend to follow kind of a maturity curve, if you will. They may start in their formation times small, as they recruit, as they train, as they build, and they learn over time as their acts tend to mature. They may develop more sophisticated weaponry, both when they can afford it and through, unfortunately, trial and error. One example might be the IRA, or the Provos, the provisional wing of the IRA, and their bombings in Northern Ireland. Much of what we've learned about improvised explosive devices and much of what we use in our bomb disposal units here in the States comes from the years of the Troubles in Ireland. As the Provos developed more and more sophisticated devices, as they matured, if you will, and the British response forces learned better and better techniques for disabling those devices, they grew in sophistication.
As security professionals, you will in most cases not stop vehicles and make arrests. However, the point of the video you watched is to remind you to be vigilant and suspicious of unusual behavior. Please return to the main menu and go to Activity 6 in your workbook.